All right. This is Mobile Gamer Nerd, and we are back with another champion spotlight video. Today, we will be covering an uncommon hero, which has very not so uncommon ability. Today, we're really going over Zephyr Sniper. Now, she's an uncommon hero. You can literally get her from mystery shards. You can get her in the shop. You can farm her. You can pretty much just get her. She's extremely easy to build, extremely easy to get books for. Um, and she's great. Now, Zephyr Sniper is basically kind of a one-trick pony. All right, she's essentially your spider tank. Now, is it worth building her just for that? I mean, it really depends on what heroes you have. But if you're looking for a tank that can take all the hits, basically in spider, pretty much 15 and up. Before that, you really don't need a tank so much. It's more just killing things fast. Um, but if you need a tank for 15 and plus, Zephyr is basically the tank for most of those fights. The only one she won't be good for is the ones that are the negative affinity. If it's the same affinity or where she's the better affinity, that's good. But anything that's not the same, if that's the counter affinity, it depends on your build. It also depends on what level, if she can handle the hits. The lower stages, yeah, she'll be able to take it. Once you start getting into like that 17, 18 range, negative affinity basically kills her. So how do we build her and what do we do for Spider? So essentially, you have to have her in lifesteal. All right, she's in lifesteal gear. Um, her main stat is defense. All right. Her skills are literally two skills. All right. She attacks all enemies and increases the cooldown of random skill, and she has a heal. Not gonna lie, for the spider, we just turn that off because her staying alive is more important than the team staying alive if you build your team correctly. So we just turn that off for spider usually. I have had a couple of fights where I left it on. It didn't really affect it. Sometimes it would go off at the wrong time to heal, and then she would die because randomness, and that's how it works. Masteries, we have wrong one. Masteries. We have gone down the offensive tree to War Master. This helps her with the lifesteal gear because it gives her more damage, which gives her more healing. Defense. We went down the defense tree. We got reduced damage from AOE attacks because the spider does have an AOE attack. She increases the amount of healing. That's always a good thing. She has chance to remove debuffs since the spider stuns and does other things that are annoying. Sleep. Reduces damage they take from a specific enemy, which is nice. And she has counterattacks so that she gets more attacks and can heal herself back up when she gets dangerously low. Same thing with this one. She also can counterattack when an enemy applies, a debuff. So these are all things that can make her attack more and get more lifesteal. Now, as far as her build is concerned, we have her in a defense chest. We have her in speed boots, defense glove, because we want her to have the highest defense possible. All right, even if it sacrifices crit rate. Crit rate isn't super important. It's been working for me at 50%. You might be able to do better. Um, and then she's got defense, and resistance. Now, why do we have resistance on the banner? Because the poison that the spiders do will kill her. All right, you have to understand that she is getting attacked by 10 spiders basically every round, at least in the later rounds. So she needs to be able to not get hit with a ton of poisons. She can take a couple of them. I think I've seen her take up to like 4 or 5 or 6 of them and still be able to survive a round. Um, but once you start breaking in past that and she gets dangerously low on health, those poisons can quickly kill her. So having a high resist is highly recommended. Not necessarily like needed, but it's going to make your win rate higher. All right. Total stats for her right now are 28,000. She has to have the lowest HP in your team. And from my testing, she needs to have the lowest by a decent margin. You have to understand that the main spider is going to be able to get off a few attacks. And when it does, sometimes it will take your heroes down a quarter, maybe even half their health. And at which point they become vulnerable to becoming the target of the spiders. So having your heroes be in the 35 to 40,000 HP range is optimal. Can you do it with less? Yes. It just depends on how fast your heroes are, how much they can heal themselves back up, and a few other factors. But otherwise, you really want her to have the lowest HP. Right now, I have her at 28. When we started this on 15, she had 26,000 health. So you can go lower for the lower versions. It's not the end of the world. Attack is literally useless. No one cares. Defense, I have her at 4,500. I think in the original 15, she teetered around 3,000, maybe 3,500 defense. So you can go lower in the lower stages. This is more for stage 20 that we were really boosted her defense. Her speed is 188. It was around 170, 178 for the lower versions. Um, Honestly, this is still low. I would say 200 is really where you want to be for stage 20. But yeah, you can get away with this or a little bit lower for stage 15. Crit rate is 55%. Like I said, not super important. Does it help and give you more heals? Yes, but at a certain point, she does enough damage to heal herself back up to full, regardless of what you do. So it's not super necessary. There's 10 chances for her to crit. More than likely, she'll heal herself back up. Crit damage, also, once again, having the stat is good enough. If you can get it up higher for more damage, if you really want to get her damage output up, then sure, go ahead. But it's not necessary. Resistance is 237. I have had her around 250, 248 before. That's better. 237 is basically like the breaking point there. I would say 230 is about as low as you want to go for stage 20. For stage 15, I mean, it's really whatever resistance you can get on her. And then accuracy it doesn't matter. So that's Zephyr Sniper's build. And once again, like I said, just for a quick overview, you can see some of the heroes that are in here. See, like I have her at 33,000 HP, which is 5,000 over her. All right, not great, not the best. All right, Soul Bond, we've got her at 30,000 HP. Also, basically just in the realm where it needs to be. So you want to be around 35 or 40 just in case they get lower, but that's where we're at right now. So it does work lower. All right, so just so we're clear. Now, this is going to be a shorter one of the champion spotlights because she's literally here just because of Spider. So we're only going to be using her in one area. We do use her in Faction Wars in the beginning because I already had a level 60, so she doesn't die. So if you have a hero that just keeps dying and you're trying to 3-star something, just replace them with her. And there you go. You might get your 3-star. So that's the only other place she's really viable. I wouldn't bring her in campaign. I wouldn't really bring her anywhere else unless you just have something that she needs to tank for some maybe like a one-off in campaign. But other than that, there's no reason to bring her anywhere else but Spider. All right. So stage 15. I think I set up both of my teams correctly. We're going to pick both and show you where we go from 15. So this is the starting team for 15. All right. So we've got Spirit Host. We've got Soul Bond, we've got Crimson Slayer, Zephyr, and Armiger. We did do some teetering around on their AI. Spirit Host stays the same. Soul Bond is Soul Bond shot #1 and Infuse 2 for all rounds. Crimson Slayer is Flowing Sword for all rounds. Zephyr, I just took off the Ranger skill. We don't need it. And Armiger, you can just leave him to do whatever he does. All right, because he only uses his A1. He uses A1 every time the turn meter of the Spider is high. So basically, if the turn meter is low, like under, I think it's 30%, something like that, he'll use later rest and do a ton of damage. It's not necessary, technically speaking, for this specific fight. You could turn it off and just have him do turn meter every time. I don't think it would really hurt you because the damage he does is kind of whatever in 15. It helps, don't get me wrong, it kills him faster, but it's not necessary. But I just leave it like this. This is kind of how we go. All right, so we're going into 15 right now. This is stage 15, right? All right, so we're going to start now. And we put her in the lead because we want that speed so that we can make sure we get enough turns so that nobody dies. The other thing here is that you're going to start at this point, you're going to want to start getting accuracy because you're going to need to hit that decreased turn meter like he just hit. All right. See, they're hitting it now on 15 because I did increase most of their accuracy to kind of get them up to speed on stage 20. Now, as of right this second, stage 20, I don't have a team that's 100%. I did 20 runs on stage 20 with the team I'm currently using, and they won 16 out of 20 times. So I may do this and they may die. I'm hoping they win the first time just so that I can kind of show you that it works. I'd like to not do this twice, but we'll see how it goes. But this team, I think, is basically 100% unless something really random happens where someone gets stunned and then can't get a turn quick enough. The whole point of Spider with Zephyr is to just take it to the face. That's all we care about with her. We want her to take it to the face with all the little baby spiders and be able to heal herself back up. That's all she needs to be able to do, resisting anything that they throw at her so she doesn't get poisons. So a further along build of her would be probably, if I had to guess, somewhere around 5 or 6,000 defense. You'd probably want about 300 or 400 resist. Like when you start really pushing higher, if you really want to use her in higher level spiders, you'd really need to build those few stats. Is really you need to get her defense up, her speed 200, maybe even 250. I don't even know what the limits are, and then obviously, like I said, resist. So those are the ones that really matter to her. Now she can take a lot of damage. Like on this, it's going to seem like a joke almost because I've already got her into 20. Back when I first did this on 15, it was definitely a little scarier. She gets down to like, somewhat low HP, but then immediately gets back up to full. This time around doesn't seem to be going so bad, but I can't stress enough how much accuracy on Armiger, Soulbond, and Crimson Slayer are. They have to get the turn meter down because the reason people fail on this fight is because they can't get the turn meter down, and then the boss gets a ton of attacks and heals itself back up before you can do enough damage to hurt him, and then eventually he does too much damage and then you die. So you don't want that. So Zephyr is really there to make sure that you never have to worry about your heroes that you're bringing in. They're basically all in some sort of a life steal, some kind of a healing um, gear so that they can heal themselves. All right, there's no healer in here. If you have a healer, you could replace Spirit Host with that healer, maybe a shielder, someone that's a Spirit Affinity, whatever you want to do. But I use her because she doesn't die and she gives a speed lead, so it makes us go a little bit faster. So Zephyr is literally there's really not much to her. I wish I could say there was like some crazy thing you're going to use her for, but like she is literally just one hero that excels at one thing and she will get you past Spider if you're having trouble with it. That's literally all that Zephyr Sniper is good for. Like, I can't really think of anywhere else that if I had heroes that were built alongside of her, I can't think of any one area in this game where she would be useful outside of this. It's just one of those niche things where she's just good at taking hits to the face and not getting poisoned. And she just has an A1 that hits everything, and she can constantly do damage. And luckily, she just happened to be defense-based hero. So putting more and more and more and more defense on her, all it does is make her stronger. So you basically can take hits and you can put out hits also at the same time. But as you can see, they're making pretty short work of this. The time's not great, obviously. This is like a low-end version. You could put 2 Armigers in here if you wanted. You could bring in, obviously, like, if you're summoning Void Shards, Cold Heart works here. Like, there's definitely a bunch of heroes you can use on this that aren't the ones I'm using. These are just the ones that are easy to acquire and that anyone can probably find to do the job they need to do. Um, all you need is heroes that can do turn meter reduction. AoE attacks aren't as necessary in this fight because the whole point of this is just making sure the turn meter of the spider never goes up so that he heals. That's it. That's the only point of this. You just have all the spiders always attack a tank. So even if you had someone that's better than Zephyr, I mean, feel free to use them. But Zephyr is just really good at what she does. I mean, look at this. She's not even blinking at this point because I have her in stage 20. Stage 20 is much harder, just to be clear, like way harder. Um, Obviously we have a chance of failing. This one seems to be not going so poorly. It seems like I don't think they would fail here because I have upgraded them a lot since the last time we did stage 15. And actually, like, we're really working on 15. But yeah, there you go. Soulbond does a ton of damage. Crimson does a ton of damage. Zephyr does a ton of damage. Most of her damage, though, comes from the Spiderling, so it doesn't really help your fight. And then everybody else is just kind of there for healing and turn meter reduction. All right, so that's where she is good. Now let's see if stage 20 goes well. All right, like I said, our best time, where was it? Our best time here was 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's see if it works. So now we go back in here, and we want Spider stage 20. So now here, this is assuming that you have progressed through the game. You have gotten Drexstar, you've gotten Syl, like, because obviously this is something that probably will come up more than likely 5 or 6 months into you playing. So you should have these heroes at that point. If you don't, there are other heroes that can do HP burn. There are other heroes that can, heal and do things. But so far, these are the ones that work for me in my free-to-play mystery chart only run through. So this is what the team we got. Drexstar, we leave alone. Syl, we leave alone. Armiger, we leave alone. Zephyr, we take the Ranger skill off. And Apothecary, we leave alone. So Zephyr's the only one that we're using an AI switch for this fight. Definitely take this one off. This is one that you have to take off. She cannot ever use it. She has to attack and heal every time. Now, in this fight, what ended up happening is Drexstar is going to be your tank. He may or may not die. I don't know. Like, we'll see how it goes. And if he dies, it is highly possible that Zephyr will be able to handle it and then move into still resurrecting him and then keeping it going. So the only time this would be a bad thing is if he dies and then someone else dies, and then we're basically done. So let's see how it goes. Stage 20. It's only 3 minutes of our life if it works. And if it doesn't, oh well. Um, so now you've got Drexstar, who is essentially going to be provoking all the little spiders, taking the damage. And from what I remember, because I haven't watched the fight since I beat it once, and then, sorry, I beat it twice watching it, and then I just put it on auto. So I haven't done this since we actually beat the quest. So I don't honestly remember, what really happens. I think what ends up happening is sometimes Drexstar will die, and then Syl will pick him back up, and then you're fine. Because she'll protect him then from that point forward. So as long as she has the protect up on, and they hit their turn meter reductions, then pretty much this works. All right. Apothecary will stay alive. He'll heal up Drexstar whenever he can. Surprisingly enough, this fight is so much easier than stage 19. 19 was much harder. Um, even though it was the affinity of stage 15 that we just did, 19 is super hard. Like, ridiculously hard with the team I just showed you for 15. You really need to boost speed and a bunch of other stuff. I did it with Drexstar as my lead, and we ended up just kind of barely making it. I think I took Crimson Slayer out and replaced Drexstar as the lead for accuracy so that they were always hitting their turn meter reductions, which is why he's in the lead now. You need that. You need your stuns to hit. You need your provokes to hit. You need your turn meter to hit. That's what's important in these fights. And then getting the burn on the boss so that every time the spiders take a turn, it burns the boss and he loses a ton of HP. All right, so that's really where when he'll start seeing damage come out is when when he provokes all the spiders and they get the burn on him. See, they're going to start getting burnt from attacking him. There you go. So Zephyr's basically your backup tank in 20. She's not your main tank. Drexstar would be your main tank. And you've got turn meter reduction from Armiger, and you've got Syl in Relentless, so she can hopefully get off some turn meter reduction. But mainly, the whole point of this one, it's a little bit different. Turn meter reduction isn't as important if you're using Drexstar. If you're not using Drexstar, turn meter will always be important in Spider. All right, but if you're using Drexstar and he gets the burns up on the boss, now you're going to see his health just drop. All right, then you can kill the spider way faster than it can heal back up. See, every single turn they get now with one that has an HP burn will just ignite the boss, which is kind of fun to watch, by the way. Sometimes you'll just see the HP of the boss just drop like dramatically. Hopefully we can get a little turn meter reduction here. We don't want this fight to last too long. Let's see what happens. Keep going. There we go. He does heal up. And there you go. Now she's back to normal, so she won't get targeted. And then speed up. Let's see if we can get some HP burn in here. There we go. HP burn. That's the best when that hits. There we go. We got some stuns. Now, stun is a little bit annoying in this fight just because it really just helps keep Drexstar alive. There we go. Now he's got the provokes on some. There we go. Hopefully he doesn't counterattack. I actually, when I built him, I should have thought about the counterattacking. It helps to keep him alive, but it does hurt when you're trying to get the HP burn on the boss. So yeah, my best time here was like 3:30, I think it was. Sometimes it takes longer because it looks like the HP burns aren't... There you go. See, that's what you want. Right there. Get those spiders turns. There we go. Burn. It's looking pretty good so far. Because I did have Drexstar a little bit more squishy here when I first did it. So it is possible that I've built him enough to where he can withstand what's going on at this point. I have a feeling the spider might heal back up at this point, I think. Yeah, so there we go. We got to heal. But that's good. That means now we have two more cycles in order to get... There we go. We got the provoke. Oh, only one of them got provoked. All right, hopefully Syl can heal. This is where it gets a little weird because the HPs of the heroes might be a little off. Like now Armiger. All right, so Armiger's healed back up. We're good. Get that HP burn. All right, sorry, it's already on the boss, so now it just needs to be on the spiders. There's another one. Turn meter reduction, always good. So yeah, sometimes it might take longer. It really just depends on how much HP burn you get on the spiders, and it depends on how much turn meter reduction you can get out of Syl and Armiger. Because Armiger and Syl can manage the fight. You would need a third one to really like super micromanage it. But as of right now, this is what we got. That's right. Keep decreasing the turn meter. And like I said, speed is really the only thing that we're missing here. There we go. More burns, more burns. If you have 10 burns up on a round, yeah, see, look at that. Boom. Look at that HP just drop. So far, so good. Always good when he gets a little bit of a heal up. Maybe a apothecary can get him some HP. All right, speed up's good enough, I guess. There we go. Dead. Look at that. Laid to rest. So there you go. Stage 20 spider in the books. Look at Drexstar. This is just kind of to give you an idea of how much damage those burns do. All right. The next one down is 4 million. He did more than double damage with those burns. So HP burn is literally your best friend in Spider if you can get it on all of them and just get them to keep taking turns. So that's it. That's Spider. That's where Zephyr really shines as a secondary tank. Like I said, she's really in 20 at this point just to make sure that you have someone if Drexstar falls. And that's really what it is. So if your Drexstar is like insanely good, yeah, you could take out Zephyr and maybe put in what is it? You could put in like the other one of the other ones like Soul Bond or Crimson Slayer in order to make sure that that turn meter stays down. However, the downside to that is those heroes are squishy. So Zephyr being really tanky, she won't die if the spiders end up targeting her from a hit. So for all I know, having Zephyr in this team might actually be better. And in my opinion, I probably would say yes because the damage output of the spiders a little bit high for my low defense heroes. So if they do get hit with one of those spider hits, they might not be fast enough to heal themselves back up. So I would say Zephyr's probably better for this, but this is really where Zephyr shines. All right, Spider. So if you're having trouble with Spider, you don't really understand the fight. Hopefully, this is the video for you, and hopefully Zephyr is the reason that you're here to see that beautiful, beautiful barbarian who is an uncommon that can save you from the spider and all of his glory. All right, so thank you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. Otherwise, yeah, this is Mobile Gamer Nerd, and you guys take care.